Alright, here are all the staple spell cards of the new format. There's not that much has changed since the last time I made this video, like a year ago. But someone asked me to update it anyway, so I thought I would. So what I do is I'm going to go through, tell you all the staples, and you can just see them here, and you could probably just close out of the video right now and you're good to go. But I'm just going to explain them anyway. First off, we have MST. Running 3 MSTs in every single deck, and DevPro is pretty much a must because you have no idea what your opponent's going to be playing. And there's always that high chance they'll have Skill Drain or some kind of continuous spell card that'll screw you over. So you need to run at least 2 or 3. I run 3 in every deck, but that's only because of the DevPro thing. If you're playing competitively at locals or something, you're probably going to run a different amount or none at all. But a DevPro thing is to run 3. Then we have Dark Hole, pretty solid card, destroy all monsters on the field. You can pretty much fit this in any deck and be totally solid with it. Upstart Goblin at 3. This is more situational, but still pretty solid. If you want to make your deck 3 cards shorter, and you don't really care about giving your opponents life points, which some decks don't really care about giving your opponents an extra 3,000 life points, because they can swarm the field pretty fast and do way more than that. Or basically, you can run this in any deck that's not an OTK that does exactly 8,000 life point damage. Or if you're doing a deck that pokes for small amounts of damage, like Generation Fish or Watts, you probably don't want to run this. Instant Fusion. I've always thought of this as a staple spell card, even before the new really good fusion monsters came out that allow you to use it better. I've heard you can use this with the new Shadow fusion monster that's level 5 too, but I've never actually tested it out, so I'm not going to include it in here. But that's, well, because he can't get destroyed by card effects. I don't know if that actually works or not, so I'm just not going to talk about it. But for the ones that are out right now, because with this, you can go into XYZ plays pretty easily, even synchro plays, because there's, you know, level 3, level 4, and level 5s. There's no level 2 or level 1s. Well, there's a level 1, but you can't use it. And, well, you can go into level 3 to go for XYZ 3s or Synchro Summoning. You can go into Nodin to go for a 1-card rank 4 monster. You can go into Panzer Dragon and just let him die at the end of the turn to destroy one of your opponent's cards. Really good. Or you can also go into some Elemental Hero cards with that, if you want to get some E-Heroes in the graveyard. Or whatever. There's lots of uses for it. Basically, if you run a deck that can use XYZ summons, which most decks do, or Synchros, which most decks do, you can run Instant Fusion and be totally cool as long as your extra deck has the space for it. Especially now that they added Nodin and Panzer Dragon to the game. Then we have Book of the Moon. Book of the Moon is a really nice way to stop cards at target so that you can get your effects off. Say you want to use Fire Fist Bear's effect to pop a card, and your opponent chains a Fiendish Chain on him. You can then chain Book of the Moon on your card to flip it down so Fiendish Chain doesn't have a target anymore, and your effect will still go off. Also, if your opponent activates Bottomless Trap Hole, you can Book of the Moon it and it won't get destroyed. Book of the Moon's really good defensively and also offensively if you want to flip a high attack monster in defense position to attack over it. But it's usually more used for the defense, or to stop your opponent from going into an XYZ play, since they can't XYZ or Synchro with a face-down monster. Lance, really good in decks where you want monsters to survive, like Beelzebub, where it's a 3000 beater who can't be destroyed by card effects or battle, but he can get deprisoned, and Lance is pretty good for that card. Yeah, Lance is used in a lot of decks where you need your big monsters to stay alive. And Forbidden Dress to a lesser extent, because the monsters cannot be targeted or destroyed by other card effects. If you chain it to a card that's already targeting your monster, the first effect where it can't be targeted doesn't go off, because they've already been targeted. But if you chain it to distraction effects, the cool thing about Dress over Lance is that it works on, you know, monster effects as well, because it doesn't specify spell or traps like Lance does. Lance just makes you immune to spell or trap cards. Forbidden Dress makes you immune from getting destroyed by card effects. So spell, you know, like Mirror Force, Fissure, Dark Hole, or monster effects like Fire Fist Bear that destroy. So Dress is still pretty good, but usually Lance is better because it has the full spell or trap card immunity. Plus it reduces attack by 800, which you can use on your opponent, and 800 is a pretty significant number. You can usually beat over most monsters with that. Depending on the deck, of course. Then we have Pot of Duality. Basically, if your deck is fine with giving up a turn of special summoning, you can run 3 Pot of Dualities in your deck. Pot of Duality, it's not more of an every card staple like the cards up here are, but it's still really good and used in a lot of decks because, well, you get to look at 3 cards and choose one of them. And you get, like, it's just the better odds of getting the card you need. So if you're running a deck where you absolutely need a combo to go off, and you don't mind waiting an extra turn to get it off and require special summoning, Pot of Duality is your best friend. Then we have Soul Taker. These cards aren't really staples and more of a side deck options where we're going now. Soul Taker, same thing with Upstart Goblin if you don't care about giving your opponent 1,000 life points, and it allows you to target a monster. So it's not random like Smashing Ground or Fissure. But that targeted effect is still really good for some decks where you need to kill one specific monster on the field. Usually nothing more than a side deck option, and it's a pretty good side deck option for cards where you need to destroy one card. Night Beam hits a weaker version of MST because it's a normal spell card, so you can't just put it face down and chain it at the end of your opponent's turn, so they can't activate a trap card. But they still can't activate a trap card when you use it because they can't activate the card this card targets in response to its activation, which is pretty nice. But still, it's not quick play, so usually people use MST over it, plus you can't target face-up cards already, so you can't destroy field spell cards that are face-up, or continuous spell or trap cards that are already face-up. You can only target face-down monsters with it. So it's a pretty nice card. Usually you only see this in Destiny Hero decks, so I use Diamond Dude because it's a normal spell card, and Diamond Dude's effect will allow you to use it. And finally, we have Nobleman of Crossout. This used to be a really big staple back in the day, but you don't really see it much. The reason I have it on here right now instead of down here with like the honorable mentions is because Shadows are a thing right now, and they're a lot more popular. And a lot of them get played face down. So Nobleman is a really nice counter to Shadows, but usually it's not really that great at anything else besides Light Swords. You do see a lot of Light Swords and Shadows on DevPro though, so you're totally fine with putting this in your deck if you need extra space. Usually though, if you're looking for extra cards to put in your deck, you're not adding spell cards, you're adding trap cards. And my staple trap card list is way bigger than this. And then I have my honorable mentions. We have Smashing Ground, Fissure, and, well, Lightning Vortex and Scapegoat. Scapegoat, just in case you need to stall out for 4 turns with cards that are attacking one at a time. I don't know, you don't really see it that often in decks that don't utilize tokens specifically. But, I mean, it's not really a dead draw since it does stall out pretty well. Lightning Vortex, destroy all our opponent's monsters on the field that are face up. If it destroyed face down cards too, it'd be way better. But it doesn't, so it's more of a meh. It's not bad, it's not great. Then we have Fissure and Smashing Ground. These two used to be really good staples back in the day, but now there's better ways to destroy monsters besides going to straight one-on-one. You always want to get efficient trades. Smashing Ground and Fissure will never be more than a one-on-one. I mean, yeah, one-on-one. Is that what you call it? Where you trade 1 for 1. That's it, 1 for 1. I mean, they're not half bad, but you can't target with them. Soul Taker is a little bit better because you can target even if they do give you 1,000 more life points. I mean, even if you do give your opponent 1,000 life points, it's a little bit better just because you can target. These two you can't target, but they're still pretty solid staples if you absolutely need to add spell cards to your deck.